Welcome. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we sift through a whole lot of info, find the most vital, sometimes surprising bits, and break it down just for you.
Mm-hmm.
And today, we're tackling something that sounds simple, right? 2 weeks pregnant. What does that actually mean?
Yeah.
You hear that, you probably think, okay, small bump maybe, or morning sickness starting.
Right. That's the common image.
But our source today, it's a really comprehensive guide from BabyCenter.
Yeah.
You know, the big pregnancy and parenting resource, medically reviewed stuff.
A very trusted source. Yeah.
It shows something really, well, surprising about this super early stage, like often before people even know they're pregnant.
And what's so fascinating, I think, is just how different the medical definition is from what we just, intuitively think.
Totally.
We think pregnancy starts with conception or maybe a positive test. But doctors use this very specific timeline. It feels a bit backwards at first. So, yeah, this deep dive, we're going to unpack what's happening, biologically speaking, at this really delicate point. And why the timing is set up this way. It's surprisingly precise.
So the mission today is kind of decoding that biological clock.
Exactly. Decode the clock, pinpoint that critical window for conception, see what the body's actually doing.
Right.
And then importantly, get into some, actionable stuff, a checklist for anyone thinking about pregnancy.
Sounds good.
It's a look into the very, very beginning. And it's honestly way more complex and kind of beautiful than you might think.
Okay, so let's jump right into this timeline thing, because this is where, yeah, it gets really interesting, maybe a bit confusing at first.
Uh-huh.
You're 2 weeks pregnant. You think, okay, conception was 2 weeks back, tiny embryo, maybe implanted.
That's the logical thought.
But BabyCenter, our source, is super clear. If you're 2 weeks pregnant, medically, you're not actually technically pregnant yet, not in the sense of having a fertilized egg implanted.
Right. It's weird, isn't it?
It's like the starting line for the race is, I don't know, way behind where you thought it was. It feels like a puzzle.
It does, but there's a really practical medical logic behind it. See, doctors can't easily pinpoint the exact moment of conception for everyone. It's just too variable.
Right. How would they even know?
Exactly. So instead, they need a fixed point, something reliable and easy to identify for everyone. And that is the first day of your last menstrual period, your LMP.
Ah, okay. So day 1 of your period is day 1 of the pregnancy.
Medically speaking, yes. Even though, obviously, you're not pregnant then.
Okay.
That day 1 starts the clock for the whole 40-week journey. It begins before the egg is even fertilized.
Wow.
It just allows for a standard way to calculate due dates. It creates a consistent framework, even if it feels odd to label it pregnant so early.
So 2 weeks pregnant really means you're around the time you're likely to conceive. Or maybe just about to.
Precisely. That's the key takeaway. It's not 2 weeks after conception. It's pinpointing the time around conception. And this medical timeline isn't just random. It lines up biologically. Because ovulation, when the egg is released, usually happens around 2 weeks into a typical cycle.
Right. So the medical week 2 matches the biological fertile window.
Exactly. The system works because of that alignment. The source says you're most fertile during the 3 days leading up to ovulation. That's the prime time. And it falls right within that medical second week.
Gotcha.
And, understanding this isn't just trivia. It's actually really empowering if you're trying to conceive.
How so?
Well, it shifts your focus. Instead of just waiting, you realize, okay, these few days are the crucial ones. You can be more proactive, tune into your body's signals for that fertile window. It makes planning much more targeted.
It moves it from guesswork to something more deliberate.
Yes, exactly. Deliberate engagement with your own biology.
Okay, so the timeline's a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Showing 2 weeks pregnant is more about getting ready than being pregnant. But what's amazing is how our bodies actually, give us clues about this fertile time. How can people start listening? It's like you said, decoding your own internal calendar, like a built-in fertility app.
That's a great analogy. Your body is incredibly sophisticated. It sends out signals, but you do need to learn its language, so to speak.
Right.
And it varies. Some women notice lots of signs, others barely any. So it's good to know the range.
Okay, so what are some of the main ones?
Well, probably the best known, especially if you're already tracking, is your basal body temperature, your BBT.
Right, I've heard of that. You take your temperature every morning.
Exactly. First thing, before you even get out of bed, it's your lowest resting temp. And the key thing is, it typically rises just a tiny bit, maybe half a degree, 1 degree Fahrenheit, after ovulation.
So it tells you ovulation already happened.
Yes. So it's not predictive for that day, but if you track it daily over cycles,
Ah, you see a pattern.
you see your pattern. It confirms when ovulation generally occurs for you,
Yeah.
so you can predict future fertile windows much better. It's about the long game, the pattern recognition.
Okay, so it's like looking in the rearview mirror, but useful for navigating the road ahead next time. Makes sense. What else?
Another really significant one, and maybe more immediate, is changes in cervical mucus.
Okay.
This is the vaginal discharge you might notice. As ovulation approaches, estrogen rises, and the mucus becomes really distinctive. It gets clear, slippery, and super stretchy, like raw egg whites.
Ah, yeah, the classic description.
It's very vivid, and it's not random. This specific texture creates the perfect environment for sperm, helps them swim, keeps them alive longer. It's basically nature's VIP lane for sperm travel.
Wow. Okay, the body's really trying to help things along there.
Absolutely. Then there's something some women feel directly, a kind of mild cramping or maybe a twinge on one side.
Oh,
Sometimes it feels like a dull ache in the lower back. It happens around ovulation time. It's called Mittelschmerz.
Mittelschmerz. That's German, right?
Yeah, for middle pain, because it happens mid-cycle.
Right.
It's thought to be either the follicle rupturing to release the egg or maybe a little fluid irritating things nearby.
Huh. So a literal feeling of ovulation for some people.
For some, yeah. It's usually pretty mild, maybe lasts a few minutes or hours. But it's a direct physical signal.
Okay. What about less
Hmm.
physical signs? More subtle things.
Well, this is where it gets really interesting biologically. Many women report feeling an increased sex drive around ovulation, which, makes perfect sense from a reproductive standpoint.
Nature's nudge.
Totally. And the source also mentions your body odor might subtly change, maybe become more attractive. And some studies suggest your sense of smell actually gets sharper near ovulation, especially maybe sensitivity to male pheromones.
No way. Really?
Yeah, it's like your body's instincts are kicking into high gear using all these subtle chemical and sensory signals to maximize the chances. It's pretty amazing deep biology.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So your body's basically saying go time on multiple levels. What about breast tenderness? I associate that more with PMS.
It can be both, actually. That feeling of fullness or soreness in the breasts can also happen around ovulation. It's due to the hormonal shifts, especially progesterone rising after the egg is released. Your body's reacting, preparing for a potential pregnancy.
Huh. Okay. Good to know. It can be an ovulation sign, too.
And one more cervical changes. The cervix itself, the opening to the uterus, it actually changes position and texture. Around ovulation, it becomes softer, sits higher up, feels wetter, and opens slightly.
You can check that yourself.
You can, yeah. It takes some practice, though. You'd need to check consistently, daily, to learn your own baseline and notice the change. It's a bit more involved, but some women find it a useful sign, along with others.
It's just incredible, the symphony of signals happening. But, okay, what if you want a little extra confirmation? Like, beyond interpreting these signs, are there tools?
Oh, definitely, and they can be really helpful. Besides tuning into your body, you've got practical tools like ovulation calculators and ovulation test strips.
Okay, how do those work?
Calculators, you usually find them online or in apps. You plug in your cycle length, your last period date, and it predicts your likely fertile window based on averages. It's a good starting point.
A prediction. And the strips?
The strips are different. They detect. They work kind of like pregnancy tests. You pee on them. But they detect the surge in luteinizing hormone, or LH. Yeah, LH surges just before ovulation happens. So when you get a positive result on an LH strip, it means ovulation is probably coming within the next, say, 24 to 48 hours. It's a very precise heads up.
So it's like, okay, game on now.
Exactly. It's a very direct signal. It does raise an interesting point, though. In our tech age, with all these apps and strips, how do we balance using these tools with actually listening to our own bodies?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think the ideal is using them together. The tools are great complements to understanding your own unique rhythm. They give you more data, more precision. It's about combining that internal awareness with external validation, if you like.
Okay, so we've got the tricky timeline sorted. We know the body sends signals. Now let's get to the main event, the actual biology happening around that 2 weeks pregnant mark, the journey of conception.
Right, the miracle itself.
It sounds like such an intricate dance. Expert, can you walk us through it? From egg release to, well, the very beginning of a new life.
It really is a marvel, and the preparation starts even before the egg makes its debut. Our source points out that in the days leading up, hormones like estrogen and progesterone have been busy.
doing what?
They signal the lining of the uterus to thicken up, to become really lush, is the word the source uses. Nutrient-rich, soft, like preparing the perfect welcome mat or nest for a fertilized egg.
Building the nursery.
Exactly. And meanwhile, inside the ovaries, eggs have been maturing inside little fluid-filled sacs, follicles. It's all perfectly synchronized. The lining gets ready just as an egg ripens. The body's timing is just impeccable.
So the stage is set. Then comes ovulation.
Then comes ovulation. That's the moment the mature egg bursts out of its follicle. It's released from the ovary and then gently swept into the fallopian tube nearby.
Okay.
And remember, this isn't always day 14 on the dot. The source says for a 28-day cycle, it could be anywhere from day 9 to 21.
Right, that variability is key.
Super key. That's why tracking your signs is better than just assuming day 14. And once that egg is released, the clock is ticking. It only has about 12 to 24 hours to be fertilized.
Only a day. Wow, okay, so the pressure's on for the sperm.
Oh, immense pressure.
Yeah.
And an incredible journey.
You said earlier it's like an epic race against insane odds. Can you break that down? It sounds unbelievable.
It really is. We say sperm meets egg, but the reality is staggering. For fertilization to happen, a sperm has to swim all the way from the vagina, navigate the cervix, travel up through the uterus, and then find the correct fallopian tube.
Like finding a specific room in a giant maze.
Pretty much. And it has to get there within the 24-hour window the egg is viable. Now consider the numbers from the source. An average ejaculation. Nearly 250 million sperm start the race.
250 million.
Yep. But the journey is incredibly harsh. The vagina is acidic. Many get lost. Our source says only about 400 sperm actually survive the 10-hour trip to reach the egg's vicinity.
400
Yep.
out of 250 million. That's tiny odds.
Incredible odds. And then it gets even more selective. Of those 400 finalists, usually only one manages to penetrate the egg's outer layer, the zona pellucida.
Just one. How does it even get through?
That successful sperm releases specific enzymes like tiny chemical drills to dissolve a path through that outer membrane. Once one sperm gets in, the egg instantly changes its surface to block any others.
Wow. Nature's bouncer.
Exactly. It is truly survival of the fittest, most determined sperm, a testament to the selectivity built into the process.
Mind blown. Okay, so the winner is in. What happens then? That's conception.
That's the moment genetic combination occurs. So within maybe 10 to 30 hours after penetration, the sperm's nucleus and the egg's nucleus fuse. They combine their genetic material.
And that's when everything is decided. Like boy or girl.
Precisely. That's the moment. If the sperm carried a Y chromosome, it's a boy. If it carried an X, it's a girl. At that instant, the fertilized egg is now called a zygote.
Zygote.
A single cell, but it contains the complete, unique genetic blueprint, eye color, hair color, everything. The entire plan for a new individual is set right then and there.
That's just profound. All that potential in one tiny cell.
Yeah.
But its journey isn't over, right? It needs to get somewhere safe.
Absolutely. The journey continues. This new zygote starts traveling down the fallopian tube towards the uterus. That trip takes about 3 or 4 days.
And it's changing as it travels.
Oh, yes. It's dividing rapidly. One cell becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8. By the time it reaches the uterus, it's a cluster of maybe 100 or more identical cells. It's no longer a zygote. It's now called a blastocyst.
Blastocyst.
Okay, and then comes the next absolutely critical step. Once it's in the uterus, our source says a day or 2 later, it will begin burrowing into the lush lining of your uterus.
Burrowing in, like nesting.
Exactly. This is implantation. The blastocyst literally attaches itself securely to that thick uterine wall. This connection is vital. It's how it will receive nutrients and continue to grow. If implantation doesn't happen successfully, the pregnancy won't continue.
Wow.
The whole sequence, from ovulation, fertilization, travel, division, implantation, it's just this incredibly delicate, perfectly timed biological ballet. Every single step has to go just right.
Okay.
It really makes you appreciate how statistically amazing every single successful conception is.
Okay, so we've seen the incredible biology unfolding around 2 weeks pregnant. It's fascinating stuff. But let's bring it back to the practical side for our listener. What can you actually do?
Right.
Our source gives a really useful checklist, like you mentioned, things to do to prepare for conception and ensure a healthy start. It's like prepping the soil, right? Before you even plant the seed.
That's the perfect analogy. And one of the absolute cornerstones of that preparation is starting prenatal vitamins. If you're even thinking about conceiving, start them now.
Okay. What's so important about them?
The source is really specific. You need at least 400 micrograms MC Dream of folic acid every day. plus other key things like iron, vitamin D, calcium,
Folic acid, I hear that a lot. Why is it so critical, especially before pregnancy?
because folic acid plays a massive role in preventing certain serious birth defects of the neural tube. That's the structure that eventually becomes the baby's brain and spinal cord.
Ah, okay.
And here's the crucial part. The neural tube develops incredibly early in pregnancy, like within the first month, often before you even realize you're pregnant.
Wow. So you need the folic acid already on board when that happens.
Exactly. Having those reserves built up before conception is vital to support that critical early development. The other nutrients, iron, calcium, vitamin D, they're all important too for both your health and the baby's growth throughout the whole pregnancy.
Makes total sense. Get the building blocks in place early. What about seeing a doctor? Is just my regular annual checkup enough?
The source strongly recommends a specific preconception checkup.
Preconception.
Yeah, it's different from a routine physical.
Mm.
It's focused specifically on getting your body ready for pregnancy. It's a chance to review your overall health, talk about any medications you're on, prescription, over-the-counter, even supplements. Some might need adjusting.
Things you might not even think about.
Right. You can discuss any existing health conditions like thyroid issues or diabetes, make sure they're well managed, talk about your family health history, previous pregnancies, if any, address any worries you have.
It sounds very proactive.
It is, and it brings up a good point. How often do we really think about optimizing health before a major life change? Usually we react afterwards.
True.
A preconception visit is pure preventative care. It sets the stage for the healthiest possible start.
That's a really valuable perspective. So when someone goes for this checkup, what kind of specific questions, maybe beyond the obvious, should they be ready to ask?
That's a great point. Beyond just, am I healthy? Maybe ask about vaccinations. Are yours up to date? Things like MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, or chickenpox. You need those before pregnancy, not during.
Good one. Okay.
Ask about screenings. Maybe for STIs or based on your background, certain genetic conditions might be recommended. Discuss lifestyle specifics on exercise, diet, caffeine. Even ask about safe over-the-counter meds for things like headaches during pregnancy.
Okay.
Definitely bring up mental health. Any history of anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
Important to have a plan. And if relevant, discuss any previous pregnancies or miscarriages, any complications. That history helps guide future care.
Really thorough preparation.
It helps make the advice truly personal. Now, speaking of being informed, the source also touches on genetics.
Ah, yes. You mentioned screenings. Tell me more about that.
It suggests considering genetic carrier screening for both you and your partner. This is usually a blood test.
And what does it screen for?
It checks if either of you carry a gene for serious inherited conditions like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, spinal muscular atrophy, things like that. Even if you're perfectly healthy, you could be a carrier.
How common is that?
Surprisingly common. The source cites a large study where 24%, almost 1 in 4 people tested, were carriers for at least one mutation.
Wow, nearly a quarter.
Yeah. So this isn't about causing worry. It's about having information. If both partners happen to be carriers for the same condition, then there's a 1 in 4 chance their child could inherit the illness.
Okay.
Knowing that risk before pregnancy lets you explore options. Maybe talk to a genetic counselor, consider things like IVF with genetic testing, or just be prepared medically and emotionally. It's about informed choice.
Knowledge is power, as they say. Okay, so vitamins, checkup, genetics. With all that groundwork laid, what's the best way to actually, optimize the chances of getting pregnant?
The advice here is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Have frequent sex.
Okay, simple enough. How frequent is frequent?
Well, the source says studies show the highest pregnancy rates are in couples having sex either daily or every other day, especially during that fertile window.
Daily or every other day?
Yeah.
Okay. What if that's a lot?
Yeah, if that feels like too much pressure, a good rule of thumb is aim for at least every 2 to 3 days, starting soon after your period ends and continuing through your fertile window.
Why does the frequency matter so much?
It's about sperm viability. Sperm can actually live inside your body for quite a while, typically about 72 hours, maybe even up to 5 days in the right conditions, like with that fertile mucus we talked about.
Okay.
So by having sex frequently in the days leading up to ovulation, you ensure there's likely always a supply of healthy sperm waiting around for the egg when it finally arrives.
You're basically maximizing the odds that sperm are in the right place at the right time, given the egg's short lifespan.
Exactly. You're covering your bases during that critical window.
It really drives home that it's not just about the biology, but the whole person. Taking care of yourself is taking care of the potential baby. What about just general well-being? Stress,
Hugely important, the source really emphasizes self-care. That means focusing on your mental and physical health.
Like what?
Eating well, nutrient-dense foods that support pregnancy, getting enough good quality sleep, moving your body regularly with moderate exercise you enjoy, and actively managing stress.
How does stress play into it?
Chronic high stress can potentially impact hormone balance, which could affect ovulation or implantation. The source suggests things like massage, yoga, deep breathing. Finding ways to relax isn't just about feeling good. It actually might increase your odds of conceiving and having a healthier pregnancy.
So chilling out is actually part of the plan.
In a way, yes. It's about creating a calm, receptive internal environment. Approaching it all from a place of well-being, not just biological mechanics.
I like that. And is there any specific physical prep recommended thinking ahead to actually being pregnant?
Yeah, there is. The source suggests you prepare your body for pregnancy by strengthening your core, specifically your belly and back muscles.
The core.
Think ahead. As your bump grows, your center of gravity shifts, putting a lot of strain on your back. Strong abs and back muscles provide better support for your growing uterus, help with posture, and can really help prevent back pain later in pregnancy.
Makes sense. Like building a strong foundation.
Exactly. Plus, a strong core might even help with recovery after childbirth, whether vaginal or C-section. Things like weight training, swimming, yoga are great for this.
Good tips. Okay, last piece of the playbook. What should people absolutely avoid when they're trying to conceive or in those very early weeks?
This is the crucial don't do list. Knowing what to avoid is just as vital. When trying to conceive, and especially in early pregnancy, you need to steer clear of substances known to harm a developing baby.
Like what specifically?
The source lists the big ones: tobacco, marijuana, illegal drugs, alcohol. Also, limiting too much caffeine.
Why are these so critical to avoid right from the start?
Because these substances can interfere with fetal development right from the earliest stages. They can increase the risk of miscarriage, birth defects, low birth weight, and other complications. Even moderate alcohol can be harmful very early on. Smoking affects fertility for both partners, too.
So cutting these out is non-negotiable for the healthiest start.
Absolutely. It's about creating the safest possible environment for that tiny embryo from day one. It's a really powerful, proactive choice you can make for your future baby's health. #outro.
Wow. Okay, that was definitely a deep dive. We covered so much ground today.
You really did.
We unpacked that surprising timeline of 2 weeks pregnant, learned how to decode the body's own fertility signals, marveled at that incredible journey of conception.
From millions down to one.
Right. And then laid out that whole essential pre-pregnancy playbook. Vitamins, checkups, lifestyle, what to avoid. It's a lot, but it feels really empowering.
I agree. And what really stands out, I think, is this amazing interplay between the biology, all that intricate timing, and the conscious choices we can make, the preparation we can do.
Yeah.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If so much precision and biological planning goes into just the very, very beginning, those first few weeks before we even know for sure, what does that suggest about the whole rest of the journey? The continuous growth, the complexity that unfolds throughout pregnancy and, well, throughout life itself.
That's a really profound thought. It highlights how much is happening beneath the surface right from the start.
Exactly. It encourages us to appreciate not just the obvious milestones, but all the foundational, often hidden processes that make everything else possible. It's kind of awe-inspiring when you think about it that way.
It really is a powerful reminder of just how delicate yet incredibly resilient life's beginnings are. Definitely something for all of you to think about. We hope this deep dive left you feeling informed, maybe a little amazed, and definitely inspired by the wonder of it all.